If you could float high above the Earth and look down on it in the late Cretaceous, it would feel like a different planet entirely. There are no cities, no roads, no signs of our species. Instead, the world is wrapped in warm, heavy air. Volcanoes send dark plumes into the sky. Forests of conifers and broad-leafed plants stretch almost from pole to pole. There are no permanent ice caps, no frozen continents, just a greenhouse Earth, lush and humid, almost everywhere. From far above, the continents drift slowly, reshaping the oceans. What will one day be? North America is cut in half by a shallow inland sea. South America still leans close to Africa. India is an isolated island drifting north at high speed. Storms churn across the oceans, towering systems that drag warm rain across half a continent. Down on the surface, the rulers of this world are impossible to miss. On a wide floodplain, a herd of long-necked giants moves like a living tide, their feet pressed deep round footprints into the muddy ground. Their necks rise above the canopy, pulling down leaves with every slow step. Their tails sway like living beams behind them, sweeping arcs of dust. Nearby, a forest stands silent, and shafts of sunlight break through the canopy and light up clouds of insects. Between the dark trunks, something stirs. A massive predator steps into view, its jaws lined with thick, curved teeth. Muscles ripple along its legs and neck. Each step is deliberate and quiet. Muscles ripple along its legs and neck. Each step is deliberate and quiet. It is the undisputed master of its hunting ground, and even the forest seems to hold its breath as it passes. Scenes like this play out across the planet. Horned dinosaurs march in groups across open plains. Armored dinosaurs lumber through undergrowth with heavy, thudding footsteps. Duck-billed herds graze like living bulldozers along riverbanks. If you only watch the giants, the world seems designed for them alone. But the real story for the future is happening much closer to the ground. Between two massive footprints in the mud, a crack in the soil hides a tunnel. Inside that tunnel, a tiny mammal curls in a nest of leaves. Its small chest rises and falls quickly. It feels the vibrations of giants moving above. Dust sifts down from the ceiling with each impact of a huge foot. To the dinosaurs, this creature is invisible. To the future, it is essential. This is the story of mammals in the shadow of giants, how they survived under the feet of monsters, and how those habits prepared them for the world to come. The world they inhabited. If you spin the Cretaceous globe, familiar shapes appear in distorted ways. A warm sea covers the center of North America. Europe is a scattering of islands. South America and Africa are still closer together. Oceans push deep into the continents. Over the inland sea, marine reptiles glide through warm, shallow water. Their long bodies ripple as they hunt fish and squid. Flying reptiles skim the waves, rising and falling with the wind. In South America, rain-drenched jungles fill the land. Huge plant eaters wade through river channels, their necks towering above the canopy. Mist rises from the forest floor. Insects fill the air in shimmering clouds. In Africa, the land shifts from desert to fertile river corridors. Some areas are bone dry, blasted by heat. Others are green and crowded with life, wrapped around braided river systems. In these waterways, a long-snouted hunter prowls the shallows, waiting for fish and smaller animals. In Asia, dry basins stretch under pale skies. Sand dunes form and vanish under the constant wind. Horn-faced dinosaurs graze in scattered groups. Feathered predators move through this landscape like shadows. Everywhere, storms build. Volcanoes erupt. Continents grind against each other. The world is busy, loud, and alive on a scale the small mammals cannot influence, yet. But everything the giants do creates opportunities for the tiny survivors under their feet. Life after sundown. To meet most of these early mammals, you have to wait until the sun goes down. In the forests near the inland sea, daylight fades and the giants settle. Heavy herbivores pull back into safer areas. The big hunter finds a place to rest. The heat of the day drains away. Then the forest changes. Fireflies drift above wet ground. Leaves rustle softly. Small feet begin to move. Under a tree root, a mammal no bigger than a mouse peers out of its tunnel. It listens, sniffs the air, and decides the coast is safe. It moves out into the leaf litter, digging for seeds, nuts, and beetles. Above, in the branches, another mammal climbs carefully. Its small hands grip bark. It searches flowers for nectar and insects. These new flowering plants draw a whole community of nighttime feeders, and the mammals are quietly becoming part of that system. On the forest floor, a tiny predator darts between roots and fallen logs. It hunts insects and small vertebrates, slipping in and out of shadows with quick practiced movements. Down by the river, an egg-laying mammal digs into the soft bank. It feels for grubs and worms. It works mostly by touch and scent, hiding from the large animals that dominate the river's edge. You start to notice a pattern. These mammals survive by living in the cracks of the world. Tunnels, tree hollows, rock crevices, thick brush. They belong to all the overlooked spaces between the giants. They don't challenge the dinosaurs. They simply make use of the scraps. A world shared but not equally. Across the globe, mammals carve out lives in every ecosystem. In North America, inside hollow logs left behind by fallen trees, small mammals raise their young in nests safe from trampling feet. When giant herds pass, the logs shake, but the mammals stay hidden until the danger moves on. On coastal cliffs along the inland sea, tiny mammals feed on tide pool scraps only after the flying reptiles have had their fill. In African river corridors, mammals pack themselves into root tangles and burrows, while large predators hunt fish in the shallows above them. In Asian deserts, mammals survive by burrowing deep into the ground to escape the blazing heat, emerging at dusk to search for food before feathered hunters appear. In mountain valleys, mammals climb cliffs and rocky slopes where the giants rarely go. They search for insects in cracks and sheltered ledges. In swamp forests, mammals move through roots and fog, using the thick vegetation as permanent cover from anything larger than themselves. It is a world with one rule: the giants shape everything, and the mammals fit themselves into whatever remains. The daily fight to survive. Living under giants comes with sudden danger. On a warm afternoon, a herd of duck-billed dinosaurs grazes quietly. Then something spooks them. Panic spreads. The entire group breaks into a stampede. For a small mammal on the ground, the forest becomes a deadly maze of pounding feet. Its only chance is to dive into any crack, crevice, or tunnel it can reach. Some don't make it. Some survive only because their burrows are deep enough to withstand the shaking earth. But once the herd passes, new food appears. Seeds, fruits, broken plants. The stampede is both a disaster and a gift. A kill site is even more complicated. A large predator brings down a plant eater. It feeds first, then smaller scavengers rush in. Only when all the larger competitors leave do mammals dare approach, picking at scraps of meat hidden under bone and torn flesh. Along river banks, huge crocodilians lurk under the surface. A single step too close and the water explodes. Mammals survive only by reading tiny changes, a ripple, a shift in the air, and leaping back in time. Storms add another layer of threat. Winds rip through forests, waves pound coastlines, burrows flood, entire stretches of land rearrange overnight. Through all of this, mammals endure by being flexible, cautious, and quiet. They do not need to dominate, they only need to survive. For millions of years this balance holds. Dinosaurs rule the open world, mammals live in the shadows. Then one night a new light appears in the sky. At first it looks like a bright star, then it grows, it moves fast, it leaves a glowing trail. Animals in forests look up, unsure what they're seeing. Moments later the asteroid strikes. The impact is beyond anything the planet has seen in millions of years. Rock and water explode into the air. A crater forms instantly. Shock waves blast outward, flattening forests and igniting fires. Tsunamis race through nearby seas. Far from the impact, a deep roar rolls across the land. The ground heaves, trees sway violently, herds panic in every direction. Predators stumble, roar, and flee. Below ground, mammals cling to the earth. Soil falls from tunnel ceilings. Some burrows collapse, others hold. Their underground life, once simply a tool for avoiding predators, now becomes a lifeline. But the real disaster comes after the initial blast. Debris hurled into the atmosphere falls back to Earth, heating the sky and lighting fires across entire continents. Forests burn. Smoke fills the air. Animals die from heat, flame, and suffocation. Then darkness arrives. Dust and ash block sunlight. Temperatures fall. Photosynthesis slows dramatically. Plants wither. The food chains built around giant herbivores collapse. The great plant eaters starve. The predators that depend on them starve soon after. The world grows eerily quiet. In tunnels and burrows, mammals survive on seeds, insects, roots, and anything else they can find. Many die, but enough persist. When sunlight finally returns, the world that emerges is changed forever. The age of giants ends. The landscape is bare, quiet, and strange. Many forests are gone or reduced to scattered groves. Some regions are open plains where once there was dense vegetation. The dinosaurs that once dominated the land are gone, all except for the small feathered ones that continue as birds. The flying reptiles are gone. The large marine reptiles are gone. The world feels empty by comparison. For the mammals, this emptiness is both frightening and full of possibility. A small mammal emerges from a burrow one bright morning, months after the worst is over. It blinks in the sunlight. It sniffs the air. Something is different. The ground does not tremble. There are no distant calls of giant herbivores, no heavy predators stalking through the trees. For the first time, the world is not filled with shadows cast by giants. A new world to grow into. Over time, plants return. First hardy species, then shrubs, then young trees. Insects swarm into the new greenery. With every plant that sprouts, there is more food. With every passing generation, mammals become bolder. Some stay small and cautious, living mostly as their ancestors did, hiding, foraging at night, digging for insects and seeds. Others grow slightly larger. Their diets diversify. Their limbs lengthen. They roam farther from their burrows. Some lineages begin to specialize. On open ground, early hoofed mammals graze on low plants. They move in small groups, learning to flee danger with speed rather than hiding. In the trees, small grasping mammals leap between branches, feeding on fruits and insects. Their hands become more precise. Their eyesight sharpens. Along rivers, semi-aquatic mammals hunt fish and dive from the surface, using water as both a hunting ground and an escape route. In forests, small predatory mammals stalk through underbrush, hunting lizards, insects, and smaller mammals. Everywhere, mammals begin filling roles left empty by the vanished giants. Branching out into the future, as the millions of years roll forward, the variety of mammals increases dramatically. Some evolve into rodents with specialized teeth for gnawing. Some become the ancestors of hoofed animals, future deer, horses, cows, and more. Some evolve sharper claws and keen senses, becoming early carnivores. Some stretch skin between their limbs and glide between trees. Some return fully to the water and, over immense spans of time, become whales. Others climb higher in the trees, relying on their hands and eyes, the early primates. The world becomes a place where mammals experiment with every available niche. And if you fast forward far enough, a particular primate line becomes curious, upright, tool-using creatures. They explore, communicate, build, and eventually look back toward the deep past. They discover the thin layer of material left by the asteroid impact. They find dinosaur bones below it. They find an explosion of mammal fossils above it. They realize, with a sense of awe, that everything familiar in their world exists because tiny, cautious mammals survived while giants fell. Stepping out from the shadows. Looking back, it is tempting to think of the mammals' rise as a sudden victory. But the truth is quieter and more humble. For tens of millions of years, mammals survived not because they were strong or dominant or impressive. They survived because they were adaptable, cautious, and small. They lived in the shadows, between roots, under logs, inside tunnels, in darkness most predators ignored. When the world changed overnight, that way of life saved them. And when the world finally calmed, they were ready to spread into every corner of the planet. So when you imagine the late Cretaceous, the giants, the storms, the volcanoes, the thundering herds, remember the other picture too, the tiny heartbeat under the soil, the small forms slipping between roots, the quiet survivor that outlasted the age of dinosaurs. In the end, the world belonged not to the giants who ruled it for so long, but to the small creatures who learned to live in their shadow and who eventually stepped into the light.